Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another workshop with Circuit Stream. I got to say that in my tenure here at Circuit Stream, this is the earliest workshop in the morning that I've ever hosted. So if I come across needing, like I need a coffee or something like that, please bear with me because I do. In all seriousness, we're all excited to have another workshop beginning here, and we're so excited that you could all join us today. Before I go any further and talk into a vacuum here, can you please let me know on the right side of the screen there's a chat tab. Can you hear me? Can you see me? How's the audio? How's the video? Just let me know so that we're all set. Aaron, all clear. Fabio, all good. Yoel, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thanks for joining everyone once again. Today we're going to be talking about a very beginner intro to VR development workshop. Backstage, my colleague Indica is going to be running you through a technical presentation. We're building this cool sort of Harry Potter-esque workshop where we're going to be casting spells in VR, and we are going to be doing this in a very beginner-friendly manner. Before we do kick things off, though, I want to run through a few housekeeping items. First, you've already discovered this on the right side of your screen here. There is a chat tab. If you want to drop your LinkedIn profile, if you want to just have some friendly banter with your colleagues in the audience, feel free to throw it into the chat tab. At the top of that screen on the right next to the four options there are two others that I want to call to attention. The first is the questions tab. We typically get pretty large audiences to these events. And so to stay on top of all of the questions, we do ask that you navigate over to the questions tab and drop in your questions there. I do have a few colleagues backstage as well. So depending on the nature of the question, they might just type in an answer for you. But otherwise, at the end of the technical presentation today, as always with our workshops, we will have a live Q&A session where we will go through all of your questions. And so to keep things organized for us throughout the presentation, we ask that you paste them there. Next to the questions tab, there's a polls tab. I've only got 2 polls for everyone today that we are going to drop in. I will provide warning, but when I do provide that warning, if everyone could head on up to the polls tab to input their answer there, it just helps us engage with the audience. And also measure how we did at today's workshop and at all workshops like today. However, I am going to start the workshop today with just a general question. We do this at every workshop, and I can see in the chat some folks are already doing this. Where is everybody located? Today I'm in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So just before lunch here in Canada on the East Coast. But I understand that there's a lot of folks coming from international countries today. So, hey, Devontae and Andrew, great to see the both of you tuning in from Western USA. Jordan as well, great to see you. It's been so long. Hope you're doing well. Brendan is also here in Toronto with me. We've got Ankita in Munich. Indica, as I will introduce, he's actually tuning in from Sri Lanka. Where else? Mercia in Spain. Francisco, great to see you there. Steph, I know you're in Calgary. Come on, man. I'm just kidding. Seoul, South Korea. Wow, that's it's a late night there. So good evening, I should have said to you folks joining in South Korea. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's always nice to see people coming together from around the world to join us on these workshops and really share their excitement about the world of VR and AR. I just want to let everybody know that with all of our workshops, we are going to be recording this webinar. So if it's, you've got a meeting or you've got a deadline at work or, you need to walk the dog or whatever the case might be, it might be bedtime, who knows? We are going to be recording this webinar. So if you do have to drop off for whatever reason, don't sweat it. You're going to get sent the recording in full as well as with all of the project assets from the build that Indica is going to be demonstrating today. Okay, last thing before we move on, just in terms of a bit of an agenda so that you know what to expect. I'm going to take about 10 to 15 minutes here. I'm going to introduce the company. I'm going to introduce Unity. I'm going to talk a little bit about the programs and today's content as well. Once I've wrapped up that portion of the presentation, Indica, my colleague, again, he's backstage, He's going to take over and run you through a technical demonstration where we'll be doing the VR spellcasting build. That should last about 45 minutes. Let's call it somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour. Really, it depends on how buggy Unity is being or how flexible our streaming software here is being with us today, but typically about 45 minutes. At that point, I'll pick up again, run through a brief presentation to conclude things up before we re-invite Indica back on stage to run through the question and answer period that we have at every workshop. But without further ado, let's kick things off. Hello again, everyone. My name is Kyle Nichols, and I am the education lead here at CircuitStream. I bring about 3 years of professional experience spanning across the pro sports industries and now in the lovely world of XR. A little fun fact about myself, and for those of you who have been to numerous workshops with me in the past, I'm sorry, we're in a pandemic. I've got nothing new and exciting happening. But I am an NBA champion. When I was working with the Toronto Raptors back in 2019, they were NBA champions, and so I can officially call myself a champion. I've got my ring. It's one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my entire life, and it's a story that I love to tell. Damien, great to see you again. Hope you're doing well, man. I've mentioned Indica a couple times already as well. We are going to be joined by him in just about 15 minutes here. Indica is one of our course instructors, and he is also a VR and AR developer who's based in Sri Lanka. He brings a wealth of experience with us today as both a developer and a teacher. He's got over 5 years of experience working with Unity and VR and AR. One of the things that I always love to talk about with Indica whenever he's hosting these workshops, because this is actually the first time that he and I have worked together, I always see this fun fact up on screen. And I always like to say, some people like to get caught in the rain, but no, not him. He likes to get caught in long, drawn-out conversations about emerging technology and the latest devices on the market. So we're super excited to have Indica join today to teach another workshop. Now, CircuitStream, who are we just in a nutshell? Well, we're a Canadian educational technology company that was founded back in 2015 when we noticed a gap in the personalized training and education space within the realm of immersive technology, or XR, which is just a fancy umbrella term used to describe virtual and augmented reality. As of late 2020, we've actually supported over 35,000 individual learners in the world of XR and in Unity. This is a milestone that we were so proud to hit because it just shows how far the industry has come. And these learners have taken part in workshops just like today and our various courses over the years. We're also a Unity authorized training partner and channel partner too. We actually have an exceptionally strong relationship with Unity and have built some of their training content to support their learning programs as well in the past. It also means that Unity recognizes our programs and our certifications. Additionally, we are an Oculus certified independent services vendor and a Microsoft mixed reality partner as well. Today, we're a team of about 20 experts coming from all over the world, from different backgrounds to teach folks of all skill levels, really, about the value of VR and AR and how to build apps within the Unity engine. Now, just to elaborate on this a little bit further, speaking of Unity, we are a Unity certified training partner. Now, training partners, it's a partnership program that Unity has where partners are approved based on their expertise, their focus on quality education, and their commitment to providing the highest level of training in the industry available today. So what that means for you is that we strategically partner with them to collaborate on creating new educational training content of the highest quality for people of all skill levels and for their companies. So above all else, we're an educational company. As you can see here on screen, we've had the pleasure of working with some of the world's largest and most exciting companies. And given how quickly this industry is accelerating, the biggest companies in the world are taking notice and are innovating with this technology. And we've been very, very fortunate to be able to work with the companies you see on screen here. So how does this all manifest itself? Well, We have an academic portfolio of free online workshops and webinars just like today, and we also have a variety of courses that we offer. And these are all designed to help students learn how to build VR and AR content within the Unity engine. These courses are mainly for beginners, but we do also have a more intermediate or advanced course for folks that are already proficient in programming with C# and with the Unity engine itself, but more on all of that later. Actually, I've seen in our chat today as well, there are some current students and some alumni students as well. And it's always nice to see folks rejoining our workshops today. And for anybody in the audience, feel free to hit them up. I'm sure they'd be happy to chat with you about their experience in our program so far. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So quickly now, because I don't want to eat into Indica's time too much, we offer 3 main courses here at CircuitStream. 2 of them focus on XR development, and these are the 2 that you can see on screen now, and 1 focuses on XR design. Now, at both the developer and the design sort of pathway, if you want to call it that, there is a beginner-friendly 10-week program that's available. While at the development level, we do have a more intermediate or advanced program on screen. As previously mentioned, this program would be for people already proficient in Unity and in C#. All 3 of these courses are supported by a short 3-week program. We call it the Intro to C# Scripting Fundamentals course that we've built, but more on that and on our bundles a little bit later on. It's also important to note that what we're teaching in any of these courses, regardless of the pathway that you choose, they're not unique to any one platform or piece of hardware. And what I mean by that is if you've got an Oculus Quest device, or if you've got a Microsoft HoloLens device, or if you're working with mobile AR for your iPhone or for your Android, for example, all of what we're teaching in these courses would be applicable to each of those examples I just gave. So ultimately, what we're teaching you here is a collection of fundamental skills and best practices or techniques that are generally applicable to any VR or AR device on the market. Now, on the left, our XR Development with Unity course. This is our beginner-friendly development option. This course includes 40 hours of live training over a 10-week period. And it's the beginner program at the development level, as I mentioned. And typically, it is where we recommend that most folks get started. So this program includes 2 90-minute sessions per week, where we'll go over the contents that can be found within our syllabus, and these would be the lessons themselves. And those 2 sessions are complemented by a weekly one-on-one appointment with an instructor just like Indica. The XR Project Accelerator course, on the other hand, is the more intermediate or advanced course for folks that are already proficient in Unity and with coding. This course is all about taking your existing skill set to the next level and helping you accelerate a project idea or prototype that you've already got. It also includes those 2 90-minute sessions per week, but in this case, you actually get 2 one-on-one appointments per week on top of the lessons to really help accelerate that project, as the name would suggest. This one's really, really exciting. This is our newest course, and we're calling it the Interaction Design and Prototyping in XR program. We used to have a short course of 5 weeks that we called the Intro to XR Design, but by popular demand, we actually recently upgraded it to the full-fledged 10-week program. We've taken everything we know about teaching beginners fundamental skill sets and built another 10-week course around the concepts of XR design. Here, the schedule operates in the exact same way as our beginner development course, but the major difference in this one is that there is no code whatsoever. We're teaching you the fundamental principles of XR design, the practical applications of how to apply this theory, and how to prototype content from scratch as a designer without using code. Again, these are our 3 main programs, and I don't want to spend too much time on them at all right now, but after Indica's presentation, we will revisit this topic. Just quickly, you might be asking yourself at this point in the presentation, what makes us different from other VR or AR companies and educators? Well, it's really the one-to-one support that's included in and afterwards of our programs. We fundamentally believe that the best way to learn something new is to get hands-on and to build your very own prototype with the help of an expert like Indica that will meet with you week in and week out. having the opportunity to work on a project that you're passionate about and a project for your portfolio is a major benefit. And that's what our students love about working with us. The final academic offering in our portfolio that I want to just touch on really quick is our team training opportunities. So if your company at the institutional level is considering investing in or innovating with this technology, or is looking to send a group of your teammates to upskill in this space, we would love to work with you by creating a customized learning program designed to suit your specific needs above and beyond what our courses can provide. These are boot camp style sessions, and they're great because they teach you, again, specifically what you're looking to learn to maximize the value of your investment and innovation with this technology. So in this pillar of our business, we've had the pleasure of working with organizations like the US Navy, Walmart, VMware, and most recently, just earlier this year, we had a group of learners from BMW as well. Okay, moving on. Now that you've learned a little bit about us, let's talk about Unity. I've mentioned them quite a few times already today, but I do want to be sure that we're all up to speed. So I'm going to publish my first poll here. Pardon me. So if everybody could navigate on over to the poll section at the top of their screen. I always like to ask this. How much experience do you have on a scale of 0 to 10 within Unity? So if you could all just go over and submit your vote there, it's super helpful as it will help us really understand where our audience is at today. I'm assuming that we're going to have a mostly beginner audience here, just given the nature of what's being taught. But just in case, let's throw the poll in there. Okay, yeah, it was as we suspected. We've got a mostly beginner audience today. So just really quickly, let's just cover a couple of things here. So what is Unity? What is it? How do we use it? And how does it benefit us as we're creating VR and AR content? Well, Unity ultimately is a development engine. It is a program that can be used to create both 2D and real-time 3D content, which would include AR, VR, and mixed reality as well. You should all know, too, that the long-term service, or LTS for short, versions of Unity, they're completely free to use, and it's actually these versions of Unity that support our programs. If you are, hardcore into this stuff, there are developer licenses available for purchase with Unity on a licensing basis. And as a partner, we are authorized to facilitate these purchases for you, your team, if you wish. But again, for the purposes of the programs that we teach, they're not required. In our opinion, Unity is definitely the program that's most beginner friendly if you're looking to begin making your own XR applications. So how do you actually get from idea to finished product? Well, like anything, these apps, they all start with an idea. From there, you need to actually build your assets and bring them into a program like Unity to be able to create immersive interaction with them using scripts in the C# programming languages. You can also use an asset like the XR Interactions Toolkit, which is an asset package that you can download with a series of effectively preset scripts that you can leverage to make your job as the developer more efficient. I'm not actually sure if Indica plans to use XRTK today, but just know for now that it is an option. Now, despite the existence of packages like XRTK, we do recommend that all developers, designers, modelers have at the very least some basic skills in C# so that you're not limited by this tool. Because at the end of the day, it is a tool and you do need to know what goes into it. Anyways, moving on. Once you're happy with your build, you need to leverage an SDK, which stands for a software development kit, to effectively verify that your target headset or device is capable of hosting your app. Once you've done that, render, publish, and voila, you've got an application. Obviously, it's way more complicated than that, but in a nutshell, that's how you get from one end to the other. So today, what are you going to learn? Well, Indica is going to take you through Unity in just a moment and teach you how to set up a VR scene within the Unity engine and how to manage input therein. We're also going to be building and using flags and considering new things like haptics and importing models into your scene. Okay, without further ado, I think I'm right at my 15 minutes here. Today is an intro to VR development in Unity. I'd like to remind everyone in the audience that we will be recording the workshop today, and that everyone who signed up to join us today will be receiving both the recording and the project assets. I would recommend that for today's sake, you simply follow along with what Indica is showing and that you do not try to follow him in real time. It's really easy to get tripped up or to miss a step and to have to go back. And just given how much content we're squeezing into the workshop, we don't actually have time to go back and revisit steps. So again, our recommendation, just be an active listener, ask questions, take notes, do whatever you got to do. But with the recording, when you can pause and rewind easily, that's when we would recommend trying it for yourself at home. Indica, you've already made your way up here. I was going to hype you up a little bit, just say what an honor and a privilege it is to have you join us today. Super excited to have you joining us for another workshop and for you to share some wisdom with the crowd here. So take it away. Stage is all yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Kyle. I hope everybody can hear me and see me very well. Can we see some shout out in the chat? Coming in loud and clear. All right. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to show you a video, to pump you up, to give you some motivation of today's workshop. So let me share the video with you. So this is what we are going to be building today. Kind of like the ultimate version, but we'll see how far we can get through this, right? All right, so let me share my screen. All right, it's giving me some trouble. Share a video. Okay. Yeah, for some reason this is giving me. Oh yeah, there you go. All right, I guess you had an idea about what we are going to be building today. Awesome. Wow. Woo. Yeah. Cool. Right. Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, I was like thinking about what sort of spellcasting experience that we can build. So I got the weekend to my best use, and yeah, that sounds exactly. Awesome. Anyway, I'll be sharing, as Dejan says, I'll be sharing all the project files with you guys after the workshop, so you can download it and put it in your Quest, and maybe play along. All right, so let me share my screen. So exactly, that's some strong Harry Potter. All right, so this live storm's giving me some trouble, man. All right, there you go. Let me share my screen. All right. Can every one of you see my screen? All right. It's not. Yeah, for some reason it's. All right. Can you all see my screen? Computer. Hello, computer. Not really sure with them. Oh yeah. All right. So yeah, this is technology, and this live storm is a bit cranky these days for whatever the reason. All right, it's being shared, but it's super flashy. Am I right? I guess it's working. It's working fine now. All right, can you see this? Oh man. Computer cooperates. All right, so I guess you can see my screen. So I'm not gonna touch Livestorm again, right? All right, just to make sure. Can you see my screen? Yes, lagging a bit. Yeah, that can happen. It can happen. You can turn off. All right, let me turn off my video. But that's gonna be sad. All right. Anyway, I guess working fine. So I'm not gonna touch Livestorm again until I come back with the question. So I'm gonna keep it as it is. Right. So to start things for all the Unity newbies, basically you have to do is you have to install Unity. It's gonna be through Unity Hub. Basically, you have to open up Unity Hub. Give it a bit of time. All right. While that's loading. Oh yeah, there you go. All right. So I'm using for this case, I'm using Unity 2020.1.6 F1. You can use any version, any later version. 2020 is the best, I guess, for now. All right. So if you want to create a new project, the first thing that I want to do is click this. If you have multiple versions, you have to click this arrowhead. Otherwise, you just can't click new. Click this, select the version, and over here, yeah, give a good name, and also the location that you want to save your project, and you want to select Universal Render Pipeline. We are using Universal Render Pipeline because it has some cool stuff that we can, manipulate, right? All right. Universal Render Pipeline it is, and hit create. So when you do that, it will take a lot of your valuable time, and it will give you a sample scene just like this. There you go. All right, you'll be able to see a sample scene just like this. So I'm going to give you an introduction to the Unity's layout. If you look at the right-hand side, sorry, the left-hand side, there is something called the hierarchy window. So this is where you can see all of your files that are in this scene, right? In Unity, a scene is kind of like a presentation slide, right? You have one scene, you have all the components and all the stuff that you want to see in that slide. A scene is kind of like a level in a game, right? In the middle of the screen, you'll see the scene window. You have opened up the sample scene. And by the right-hand side, you will see something called the inspector window, right? So what this inspector window does is kind of like works like a property panel. No sound. Can you all hear me? Sound works. All right, cool. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's an issue from the speaker side. Dilara. All right. Anyway, so if you click this, if you click an object, right, you can see. Oops, what happened? All right. So if you click an object on the right-hand side, you can see, some parameters that gets changed, right? So for example, if I click this, you can see all the various different components in this. We call these things components, right? And in Unity, you can add and remove the components, right? You can add components by clicking this button right here. So basically, when we are scripting, when we are writing code in Unity, we write these codes basically as components, and then we can add these scripts as components to each of our game objects, right? So basically, what you can see here in the hierarchy are the game objects that are in the scene, right? So basically, we call them as game objects. So these game objects can have like it can parent, it can be parent objects. There are like child objects. When you expand this, it becomes, you can see that the child objects inside this props game object. So basically a game object can be anything, right? Also, a game object can be nothing, right? You can create game objects by right clicking the hierarchy window, and you can create an empty game object. If you create an empty game object, it will just spawn an empty game object. There's nothing in it. You cannot see anything. But in the inspector window, you can see something called transform. The transform is the basis of a Unity scene, right? Transform defines the position of a game object, the rotation, and also the scale of a game object, right? So we're going to be using the transform quite a little bit, because we want to like move, and we want to manipulate objects, positions, and stuff like that. All right. At the bottom of the screen, there is a window called project. So this is where all of your files are, right? So these files, we named them as assets, right? So basically assets can be sound files, 3D models, animations, 2D objects, images, whatever you name it. We call them assets, and everything can be, stored over here. So these are your project files, right? Cool. Now, let's dive into our project, right? So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create, I'm going to get a duplicate of this sample scene, right? We get a sample scene. You can create a new scene by right-clicking in the project window. All right. So if you don't see this window, you can click this. Let me get my mouse highlight on so you can see my mouse. There you go. So if you click these 3 dots right here, you can change the layout of this project window to 1-column layout or 2-column layout. And also, if you don't see any of these windows, you can go to Window, go to General, and you can load up all of these windows, and you can dock them, right? You can drag them from this tab, and you can dock them. Right. So you can create a new scene by going to the Scenes folder, right-click, Create, and choose Scene, right? Or else you can copy a scene by clicking this. You can just, all right, here you can't see it. You can just, hit Control-C and Control-V to copy it. Or you can hit, you can click this and hit Control-D to create a copy. All right, there you go. It now created a copy of this scene, right? So you can open a scene by double-clicking this window. And it asks whether I want to save this, current scene. I don't want it. All right, so this is basically that copy of the same scene. So I can rename this by right-clicking this, going to rename, and I'm going to rename this as workshop scene. Cool. Duplicate, yeah. All right, so let me reload this scene. There you go, workshop scene. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all these example assets, because I'm not going to creating creating a spellcast tutorial for a construction company, right? So I'm going to get rid of these example assets. Why I kept this sample scene is because of the post process volume game object over here. And when you click this, you can see something called volume, tone mapping, bloom, vignette. You can disable this game object by clicking this tick over here in the inspector window. So if I click this, it gets disabled, and you can see how the lighting and how the environment of this scene changes, right? If you turn this back on, there you go. You can see a drastic difference in between the scene. So we're not going to be talking about the level design, those things right now. We have the first thing that we do is we focus on the VR part, and then if you have time, I'll be diving into how I created that particular example, right? Anyway, you'll be getting access to this project file, so you can have a look how I made those stuff. All right, so the first one I'm gonna do is I'm gonna convert this project compatible to the Oculus Quest that I'm wearing, right? Compatible with VR. So to do that, I'm going to go to the package manager. You can go to the package manager by going to Window, select Package Manager, right? And it will open up something like this, right? So this will list down all the asset bundles, all the assets that you downloaded from the asset store. But you want to go to the Unity registry, right? Click over here, Packages, My Assets, click it and select Unity registry, which will refresh the assets from the Unity registry. And you want to select something called Oculus XR plugin. If you cannot see it, you can just search it over here, and you can select this Oculus XR plugin. And I'm using version 1.4.3. You can install this by clicking this, and there's going to be an install button over here. So if I select something else, you can see that install button right here. Just like that, if you select Oculus XR plugin, you can install all the assets necessary for the Oculus XR. Right, now you want to go to File, sorry, Edit, Project Settings. And in Project Settings, there is something called XR Plugin Management. And you want to turn on Oculus right here so that it will be compatible with the Oculus Quest and Oculus Link. In this scenario, I'm using Oculus Link. I have connected my Oculus Link cable to my laptop. This is not actually an Oculus Link cable. This is just a cable that I had, and it's really small. So I'm really careful when I'm moving my head around. All right, so that's pretty much it. I think we have ourselves a scene that is capable of creating an Oculus VR application. Right. Yeah, for HTC, you have to HTC you have to install the Steam VR SDK because OpenVR and the inbuilt VR support in Unity doesn't support Vive for now. But I guess in the long run, with some of the new devices, they'll make it compatible with it. But for this, you have to download the Steam VR package, Steam VR SDK for Unity. All right. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, Yoel. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an empty game object in my scene. All right. I'm going to place it at the very center of this this scene, so I can change my position to 0, 0, 0. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to click this, go to my inspector. I'm going to rename this as XR rig. So this is going to be me, right? This is going to be the player. All right. So in my scene, I have the camera, right? This camera is basically what Unity sees, right? If you click the camera, you can see what the main camera sees. And if you go to the game window, you can see, what you see here is what the game, what the main camera sees. Right. So what I do is I'm going to take my main camera and put it inside my XR rig. So now it becomes a child of my XR rig. And I'm going to rename this as my head, because this is going to be my head, right? Cool. So when you open up this, when you click this camera, there's going to be various components: the transform camera, audio listener, and also something called simple camera controller. And we don't want this. So this is basically something that you get with the sample project. So you can remove it by clicking this and removing the component. Anyway, if you create a brand new scene, you're not gonna be seeing that script, right? So if you have it, just remove it. Now I'm gonna create add component. Click add component, and I'm gonna select track pause driver. So this is provided by the XR support inside Unity, right? And this actually gets all of the VR devices that you connected, and you can define that this track pause driver is basically what it is, right? So from here, I'm going to select this as generic XR device, and pause source, this is going to be center eye HMD reference. All right, so now here I can see. So let me change the position. Let me reset the values of this camera. Click this, hit reset. And this is going to be my camera, and this is where I'm looking at, right? If you click the camera, So let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of the fog for a moment. If you select the camera, if you expand this, you can see that this, this is a viewport of the camera, and this is what it sees. All right. Now I'm going to add something called, I'm going to add an empty game object, and I'm going to name it this as right hand, right? And I'm going to add another empty game object, and I'm going to name it left hand. Right. So inside my Accelerator, I have the head, I have the right hand, I have the left hand. So right hand and left hand is going to be my two controllers right over here. Right. So I'm going to add the track post driver to both of these objects. I can select these two objects by hitting the control or the command in Mac. I'm going to select add component, select track post driver, and this track post driver in my right hand is going to be generic XR controller. Post source is going to be right controller. So for my left hand, it is going to be generic XR controller. Post source is going to be right controller. Cool. Now I have the camera right here and two empty game objects, right? So what I would do is in my right hand, right? So if you open up, if you when you get these project files, inside there, I have added a folder called models, and inside of it there is something called hands, right? So in the hands folder, I have a left hand and also I have a right hand. So you can add this 3D model into the scene by dragging and dropping inside the hierarchy window. So this is the left hand. So I'm gonna put it inside the left hand right away. And also I'm gonna drag my right hand and put it inside my right hand object right away. So if you double click this, it will take you very closer, right? So you can move around the scene by hitting the right click and dragging across, and you can just look around. And also by using WASD, you'll be able to move around in this scene. All right, there you go. So this is my two hands, my right hand and my left hand. So one thing to mention is that if you change the position of the right hand by clicking this, right, this is going to be the child, the local space, right? Local space in terms of the right hand, right? So if you click the right hand's position doesn't change, right? And if you move this right, the actual 3D object, you can still see that the position of the right hand is there, as well. So you don't want to change the position of this. So it's better to keep it in 0, 0, 0. But you can change the position of the parent object, right? So I'm going to put it like this so that I can see my two hands separately. All right. So this is a spellcasting demo, right? So the idea behind this is you have to cast a spell, right? There's something that you have to do, not just like shooting, like a gun, right? So basically spellcasting is like really similar to like shooting a gun, but without a gun, you're just shooting with your hand, right? You're casting a spell. But the spell cast has to have some sort of a interaction, right? So what I did is I use my left controller, right? And if you select your left controller, there are like various buttons, right? You have the grip button, you have the trigger button, and also you have some other buttons over here as well. So what I would do, what my plan is, you have a combination of buttons that you want to press to cast the spell, right? So in this scenario, you have to press the grip button and also the trigger button to enable casting. So that is where we have that is where we use the term flags, right? So if you click, if you press the grip button and the trigger button at the same time, it's going to enable a flag telling me that you're good to go, right? You can now cast your spell. And with my right controller, if I press my trigger, then it's going to shoot. So without getting this combination correct, you won't be able to shoot. So that is the basic idea, right? So spell casting shouldn't be something that you can do like a default. You have to have some combination. You have to create some combination to cast your spell. All right, now that I have my, now that I have my scene right, so let me see whether this works with my Quest. I have my Quest attached. I have Oculus Desktop running. So if I hit play, if I put my glasses, VR headset back in, it's going to take some time to, oh, it's going to take some time to compile for the first time. Application.enter play mode. Oh, there you go. Huh. Now you can see, oh, for some reason, two of my hands are connected together. What would be the reason? Oh man, sorry. Yeah, my bad. You had to select left controller. Otherwise, both of them are going to be my right hand, right? So yeah, there you go. All right, so I have my left hand controller and my right hand controller, and I'm waiting until this thing gets loaded to my application.enter play mode. Oh, there you go. All right, there you go. I can see both of my hands with my controller, and I can move around. I can look up and down. Really cool. And it took less than five. I've been explaining this, but for you, it might take less than 5 minutes to get this up and running, right? Really amazing. All right. Now, when you take your hand closer to your eye, you can see that it kind of clips. See, it kind of like cuts your hand. You don't want that. So let's fix it. Let's put my two of my hands away. Right. Let me take this. And let's click the play mode again. So that is because if you select the head, you can see this camera kind of has a viewport, right? A clipping plane. So the camera will only render the 3D models that are inside this pyramid, right? There's a pyramid right over here and inside this pyramid. So you want to take this pyramid right over here so that it won't clip anything. So to do that, you can select the head, you can select the camera, select the camera component in the inspector window, and in the clipping planes, the near clipping plane should be 0.01. Right now you can see that this kind of like, this is an actual pyramid, not like a, half cut pyramid. Now, if you play, you'll be able to see that, you'll be able to see both of your hands, even if you take them really closer to your eyes. All right, so I'm not going to do that because we have very limited time. So now let's create something to shoot, right? So let's create something to shoot. All right, to do that, I'm just going to create a sphere, right? I'm going to right click my hierarchy window. I'm going to go select create empty. Oh, no, sorry, not empty. I'm going to go to 3D object and select sphere. Right, so when you do that, it will add a huge sphere right over here. I want to change the scale of it, right? So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the position of this to 0, 0, 0. I'm going to set the scale of this to 0.1, 0.1, and 0.1. There you go. So these are just icons, right? You can see inside. So basically hitting Gizmos button right here will like get rid of these icons. All right, so this is going to be, this sphere is going to be the one that I'm shooting, right? So this is going to be kind of like a very huge bullet, right? With my hand, I'm going to shoot this bullet towards. All right. So when you select this, you can see 3 different axes of this of this sphere, this ball, right? So the blue one, this defines the forward component of this 3D object, right? So if I get a little bit closer to this, right? So this is basically the forward, right? And also this is the right component, and this is the up. Green is up, red is right, and blue is forward. And what we want is when I press the button, it should create a ball over here, and it should shoot that ball right to the forward direction of that ball. So even if I rotate this, so I can rotate by clicking the tool over here. Even if I rotate this, right? And if I select my move tool, now I can see that the forward direction of this ball is right over here, right? So basically it changes, right? The direction of the ball changes with the rotation. So what we want to do is we want to get the direction of this hand, right? If you click this hand, you can see that this is the forward direction. We want to spawn a 3D, we want to spawn this sphere over here, and we want to shoot it. So that's the basic idea, right? So to do that, I'm going to create a script. So there's a folder called scripts. I already have these scripts written. So, but in this case, I'm just going to create a new script. So you can create a new script by right-clicking this window, create C# script. Right. So here I'm going to choose bullet. Right. So this is basically a bullet. Right. Even if you cast a spell or shoot a gun, it's going to be a bullet. So this bullet script. All right. So sorry for that. Might take a while to compile and load this. So this is the saddest part. Every time you do something in your code and get back to Unity, it refreshes the whole interface and takes quite a bit of your valuable time. Okay, let me go back to Unity. Seems like it's taking a while to refresh everything. All right, so anyway, while that loads, let me give you an introduction to the C# code, right? So I'm going to show you Visual Studio stopped responding for, okay, all right, that's fine. All right, so this is a sample C# code, right? So over the top, you can see something called using system.collections and, oops, and using stuff. So basically this is where we import content, into the C# script, right? Basically we import the Unity engine packages and we import some of the system packages like system.collections and system.collections.generate. And here we have the name, we have the class, basically the script component. And this class is a component of a mono behavior type, right? So if you are familiar with programming and inheritance, a mono behavior is another script that is created by Unity, and we are using that script to create our own, right? And over here you can see these stuff. We call them as variables, right? We have a float variable which defines a number, and we have game object variables which references game objects in the scene. And also we have another variable called a rigid body. This defines the rigid body component of a project. So I'm going to explain you what a rigid body is a little bit later. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to double click my bullet script, which will give me an empty, there's nothing. But with this start method and the update method, the start method is something that executes when you hit play, right? When you hit play in Unity, it executes whatever inside this start method. Update method is also something that executes, but not just at the start of it, but every time. So this is kind of like a loop that executes every tick, right? Every time when you're in the scene. All right. So here, what I would do is I would create a simple variable. I'm gonna choose a public variable, public float speed. I'm gonna set this to 10, right? And over here, I would create a private. No, not a private. Let's just add a public rigid body. Rigid body. Right? Cool. Okay, so if I hit start, right? If I hit start, so what I will do is I will get the body and I will set the velocity of this body.velocity So velocity is basically, the speed of the of some of of whatever the 3D object or whatever the game object it is. Body dot velocity equals to transform dot forward multiplied by speed. Right. So when you talk about transform dot forward, that is basically the forward direction, right? That we talked, right? So what we do is we get the direction, the transform direction of that 3D, of the bullet, and we multiply it by a speed, and we set the velocity. So when we spawn it, you know, it will, immediately set the velocity of it and will shoot. Right. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to go to my sphere right here. Oh man, it's taking some time to do its asset database dot refresh. So I'm gonna get this headset out of it because it's like it's a real pain. Oh, there you go. Been sweating a bit. All right. So now what I will do is I will click my sphere, right, and I will add a component right over here, and I select bullet. Right, bullet. Now in here you can see speed and body, which are the two public variables that I added over here, speed, body. Right? You can see in the inspector window, now it's asking for a speed and also a body. Right? Now, in this case, there is no such body with me right now. Right? So to add a physics-based body, what I will do is I will add a component and select rigid body from the list. Right? So rigid body, adding this component to any sort of 3D object in Unity enables physical components, physical properties to that 3D model, 3D object, right? So in this case, this is now gonna be a chunky, big bullet, right? So if you hit play, not really sure whether, so let me get this right here. So if I hit play, and it's gonna give me an error. Yes, it will give me an error. Let me see. All right, this is taking a while. All right, things are working, hand is working, everything's working. But inside the console, you can see an error which says, okay, the variable body of bullet has not been assigned. All right, so what shall we do? So I will go back to my Unity scene. I will click my sphere, right? And that is because I haven't added any rigid body component to my bullet. So what I will do is I will drag my sphere and put it right here. So it will, so select, can you see this icon, this, green color icon? So this will reference the rigid body of its own to its bullet script, right? So now if I hit play, look at this bullet, right? Look at this bullet when I hit play. I will get my game window right over here. So you can see what I see in my VR, VR headset right here. And also the bullet is going to be here, which should shoot. So if I hit play, right, it's taking a while. All right, there we go. Okay, now you can see that the bullet kind of like swashed away. That is because like the speed is a bit high. So what I will do is I will reduce the speed to 1, just to show, and I will get rid of gravity. So this bullet will not fall down, and it will work as a spellcast, right? It will just move forward without any gravity component. So I will just choose. I will just tick off is gravity, and I would hit play. And let's see now what would happen. All right, there we go. Now you can you see that this ball kind of like slowly moves away. All right, kind of like goes away from me. Oh, you can't see it now. Basically, it's right there. And if you get closer, You can see that it's like moving towards. All right. So that's one part of this project, right? Okay, creating a bullet right over here. All right. So what we actually want to do is when I hit the trigger button in my hand, it should spawn a new bullet over here and it should go, right? So first I'm going to set the speed of this to 10, right? And I'm going to create this sphere a prefab, right? To do it, first thing, I'm going to change this to bullet, right? Bullet right over here. And there's a folder called prefabs, and I have like 2 prefabs already. So what I will do is I will drag my bullet and I will put right over here, right? So my bullet is now an asset in my project window, and I can get rid of this. Right? So if I want to take that bullet back, I can just drag and drop this, and you can see there are like multiple bullets in my scene. So I get rid of this right away. All right. So now what I want is if I hit the trigger, then it should spawn a bullet and should shoot. Right. So I'm going to create another script. Right. So here I'm going to name this as gun. Right. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name this as gun. Right. I created a new script, named that as gun. And what I would do is, okay, let's see what's happening. Right. I will add this gun to my right hand right over here. Right. I would select my right hand. All right. Select my right hand. Drag. You can just add component by clicking this button, or you can just drag the gun and put it right over here. Gun. Cool. Right. So let me go back to my gun script. Not that one. My gun script. This is what it is. Right. I'm going to create a public game object. Public game object. Bullet to shoot. So this kind of like holds the 3D object of the bullet to shoot. And I'm going to create another transform variable, public transform, bullet spawn point. Right. There we go. All right, that's pretty much it. Now, what I want is I want to get the input combinations, right? So since this is an XR project, a VR project, you have to bind the input that you get from these controllers into Unity, right? So to do that, if you install this Oculus plugin, you'll be able to go to assets, and click this seed XR input bindings. So when you do that, and when you go to edit project settings, and if you select input, where is it? Input manager, there you go. If you select input, you're going to see a list of XR related triggers, right? So this input basically defines various different input mechanisms. Now, for example, if I select this fire one, right? Fire one is the key or a mouse button, right? Mouse 0 means mouse click, right? So if I use fire one to trigger an event, it is going to be mouse click, right? So such like that, we have a bunch of different, input parameters right here, right? So what we want is right now, what we want is the right hand trigger, right? So to do that, you can to search the right hand trigger, you can scroll all the way. So that's going to be 2, right? XRI right trigger, and also going to be another one called XRI right trigger button. This one. So right trigger is kind of like, when you press this, right? It's not a button, right? It's something that goes from 0 to 1 like this. It's not a button. So this one right here is a button, right? This this one. So it doesn't go like slowly from 0 to 1, but in this case you can get a value, starting from 0. You can like keep it, when you're playing games, and if you want your car to, if you're playing a car game and if you want your car to accelerate slowly, then you press it like not all the way down, but half. It's kind of like works like an accelerator of a of a of a car. But here, you know, we are using XRI trigger button. This will trigger only when you push it all the way down, right? So I'm going to go to my input. Now that I have bound my inputs in my update method, I'm going to search whether this input is being triggered. So to do that, I'm going to write the condition if input dot get button down. That means if I click down, if I hit down, right, get button down. So this button is, I open parentheses and close parentheses. This is going to be this one right here, which is what do you call right XRI trigger button. Right. So if input.get button down XRI right trigger button, then I will create a new bullet and I will shoot it. Right. So this bullet shoots itself automatically, right? So what I will do is I will just instantiate this bullet. So to do that, game object bullet equals to instantiate. Oops, instantiate. And now it's asked me what do you want to instantiate. So that is going to be my bullet to shoot. Bullet to shoot. Right. And the parent of this, or else the position, right? The position of this is going to be bullet spawn point. So the transform kind of like holds the position, rotation, and scale, bullet spawn point dot position, and as the angle to spawn, I'm going to put it as quaternion dot identity. So don't worry about this much. Quaternion dot identity kind of gives you the basic, the 0, 0, 0 rotation of this 3D object, right? So basically what I have done is I have asked Unity, so this is not bully, right? This is bullet. I have asked Unity to create a bullet through this instantiate method, and to get the position of the of this transform right over here, and also give a rotation like this. All right, so that's pretty much it. So when you hit the trigger, it's going to create new bullets right all over the place, right? All right, so let me go back to Unity. Go to my scene. It's gonna do that asset database dot refresh. Really frustrating. All right, probably this is because I'm doing multiple things, right? I'm streaming my screen. I have my webcam open. All right, cool. Now, if I click my right hand, it's asking me two parameters, right? Bullet to shoot. The bullet to shoot right over here is going to be my bullet that I created, right? It's the prefabs. It's inside prefabs. So I'm going to drag my bullet and I'm going to put it over here. And the transform, the bullet spawn point. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my hand object right over here, right? Inside my right hand, right? So this is my right hand. I'm going to create an empty game object, which is going to be all the way here. And I'm going to move it right across this over here. So this is going to be where the bullet or this, the spell kind of spawns, right? You can even like put it right here, or maybe I think this is a good place. So let me put it over here. All right, cool. There you go. Right, so this is going to be my spawn point. So I'm going to rename this as spawn point. Spawn point. I'm going to select my right hand. All right, so yeah, sorry for that. This script should be in over here, not over here, right? So let me just copy this. Let me remove this. I'm going to go to my right hand over here, and I'm going to paste component as view. It's going to be right over here, and I'm going to drag my spawn point, and I'm going to put it like this. Right, that's pretty much it. So if I hit play, let me get my quest. If I get my controller, right controller, now, okay, now there you go. All right, can you see this? Right, it kind of like shoots new bullets. Oh, let me scale this up a little bit. Right over here. Right, so if you can see my hand, and if I press my trigger, it's going to shoot bullets all the way. But the problem is, the problem is the rotation of that is different. That is because we, even if your hand is like this, the spell is going to be towards that direction, right? Which is sad. Right. So what I will do is I'm going to go back to my script, right? And bullet is the one that I just created. So I'm going to reference that bullet dot transform dot rotation. This should be equal to this bullet spawn point transform. It's the transform it is bullet spawn point the rotation. All right, that's it. So let's see what happens. So let's go back to Unity. Let's hit play. Okay, and let's hit play. Okay, there we go. Enter in play mode. There you go. All right, now if I look up, it's going to shoot up. You can see all the bullets that go up, and you can shoot all the way across. Awesome. Right. Now, now when I shoot a bullet, what happens is it creates a new bullet, right? So that bullet is going to be in the scene, right? So we need to consider when we are creating games, we need to consider the performance aspect of it, right? So if you shoot like 1,000 times, so this is going to create 1,000 bullets in the scene, and you don't want it, right? So what I want to do is I create a bullet, and if it doesn't hit anything, the bullet should destroy from the scene maybe after 5 seconds, right? So to do that, I'm going to go to my bullet script, and I'm going to create a new method, which is void timeout, right? So inside timeout, so this is going to destroy game object, right? So by doing this, it will get, it will clear the bullet out of the scene, right? So over here, what happens is when it starts, right, it shoots itself, and I will invoke that timeout, and this should time out after 5 seconds or maybe 3 seconds, right? So what will happen is, after this gets spawned, it gets to the timeout. All right. So, okay, now we have this. We have set up the 2 hands, also the bullet, and now what we do is we are going to create an enemy. All right. So to do it, I'm just going to create an enemy. I'm going to add an empty game object. Oh no, I'm going to create a cube. I'm going to rescale this to 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. Right. I'm going to reset the position to 0, 0, 0. Take it over here. I'm going to scale this back right over here. So, I don't think that we can, talk about everything that I've put together in the scene. So I'm going to just cover the basics of the interactions. Then I'm going to go through my actual scene. I'm going to explain what I have done there, right? Cool. So this is my enemy. It's kind of like a big enemy. So let me scale this down. All right, put it right over here. Right. So here I'm going to rename this as my enemy. And since this enemy has to be a physics object, I'm going to add a rigid body component to this. and I'm going to get rid of gravity because I don't want to use gravity at this very moment. All right. So now what we're going to talk about is the collisions, right? So basically, when you cast your spell and that spell goes, and hits the enemy, right? At that point, it should detect that there has been a collision with this spell and also the enemy, right? So when you select this enemy or this cube, there are two basic components that we need to consider. One is the box collider, right? This collider component kind of works as the boundary, right? So if you have two physical objects, right, this collider is like the boundary, right? When they like hit each other, there's going to be physical forces that applies to each other, and they're going to like work as an actual physical object, right? So we're going to use that rigid body to this, right? And also I'm going to select my bullet prefab right over here, and in this bullet prefab over here, if I double click this, it will open up the prefab, which is right here, right? So I'm inside this bullet right now. So here you can see there's a sphere collider. So you can change the collider of this by clicking this, and you can just drag and drop. So even if your mesh is like this, your trigger is over here. So when another 3D objects gets collided, it's going to collide at this point, but at not this point. So which is really bad. So you can create invisible walls without just by having a 3D model, 3D object, and not the mesh but the collide itself. So it's going to be an invisible wall. So in this case, I'm just going to go back. I'm going to reset these values to 0 0 0, and also the radius of this to yeah, that's it. All right. Okay, so when it comes to collisions in Unity, there are two different types of collisions. One is an actual collision itself, where two physical objects collide and bounce off each other. And the other one is a trigger, right? We want collisions to trigger. We want collisions to identify a collision, right? Identify some sort of a, I don't know, collision. That's the only word I know. Right. So and also it shouldn't like it can go through each and each objects, right? So the basic idea is that we want to trigger when a two collision happens, but we don't want that collision forces to apply to each other, right? So in this case, we talk about a collision type called trigger, and we're going to use this is trigger to true of this bullet. So that trigger thing is going to work on this bullet right now. All right, so let me get back to my scene. So what I want to do is, oops. Okay, so what I want to do is, if I shoot this 3D object, this enemy right over here, it should destroy itself, right? It should destroy. So to do that, there can be like thousands of collisions in a Unity scene, right? And we need to figure out how to filter out that the bullet actually hits an enemy, or it hits the floor, or it hits the wall, or whatever it is, right? So to do that, we use something called tags, right? We tag these 3D objects, and when a collision happens, we check that the collision, the trigger, is one of those tags, right? So the first thing that I do is I click my enemy, I go to this tag right over here, and I select monster tag. So you won't be able to see these tags right now. So you can add new tag by going to add tag. Over here, you can click this plus button and add a new tag. So I can add a tag like enemy right over here, right? So I have like two tags, right? Monster and ground. So basically in my actual, the gameplay that I showed earlier, there's going to be a ground. So when a bullet hits the ground, it will like spark, and it will destroy itself. So that's the basic idea. All right, so let me go to my enemy and select my tag of this to enemy. There you go. All right, so I'm going to make this enemy as a prefab as well. Right, I'm going to put it right over here. Okay, pretty much it. So let me go to my code, and so this is the bullet code. So what I will do is I'm going to create a new method which is called void on trigger enter. So when when you type that, will give me something like this. So this is going to be private void on trigger. So this method gets executed when there has been a trigger collision, right, in the scene, right? Trigger collision in the scene. But since this is attached to the bullet, the bullet game object, it will only trigger if that particular bullet collided with another collider, right? Another game object or anything. All right. So here, what I will do is I will check. I will check now. This gets executed when a trigger happens. Now I will check whether this is an enemy or the ground or the monster or whatever it is. If other, so other is basically a parameter that is passed by Unity for us to, this other is actually the other game object that it collided with. Other dot game object dot tag equals to, so equal means I check whether this is equals to enemy, right? Then what should happen is, right, other dot game, sorry, so what should happen is destroy other dot game object, and at the same time it should destroy the bullet as well, because the bullet shouldn't like go through the enemy. Destroy game object. So here, if we reference just game object, it is going to reference the script, whatever the game object that this script is attached to, which is the bullet. And if I choose other dot game object, this is going to be referenced as the other game object that it collided with. All right. Okay. So there we go. Cool. Awesome. So let me go to Unity, and it's going to do that asset database dot refresh for quite some time. So let's wait until it does that. Oh, that is really fast. All right. So what I will do is I will create copies of this enemy. So let me get up, get to the top viewport. Over here, I'm going to hit Control D. I'm going to place some multiple enemies right around the scene. It's not that. All right. Now let's see what happens. So all of these enemies has the tag which is called enemy, and also the bullet. The ease trigger is turned on. Okay, so let's get to our game. Let's see what happens. Okay. All right, I can shoot the bullets up. And now, can you see that those bullets kind of like, if I shoot up after like 3 seconds, the bullet kind of like destroys itself. So I couldn't actually, it takes a while. Yeah, anyway. Okay, now let's shoot at these enemies. Ha, there you go. Bang, 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 bang. Ta-ding, 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 ta-ding. Awesome. Right. So, when creating games, games like this, the base is to use this ugly 3D models so that you can prototype what you're actually building, right? So in this case, this spellcast case, that is the basis of what we have discussed. So so I forgot to mention that about that cast thing. So let me go to my bullet or the gun right over here. Right. So one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create another flag. So we have to talk about flags. So flags in Unity are basically variables. We know a flag, when the flag is on, we know this is flagged. So basically what I will do here is I will create a private bool, a Boolean variable, which stores either true or false, right? Flag cast or else is cast combination ready, right? So at the start, is cast combination ready is going to be false, right? So right on top of this update method, what I'm going to do is if input dot get button. In this case, I'm going to choose get button because I want to, get button means that if this button is on hold, like if I press this on hold, so this will work only once, right? Even if you like press it, this will work only once, but get button will continuously work, right? If input that get button down, and here it is going to be the not the right one, but the left one, left trigger button, and input dot get button down. So what I will do is trigger and also the grip, right? So this one should be XRI left grip button. So let me go to my spell shoot and check whether it's the correct one. XRI left grip button. Yeah, there you go. Grip button. If this is true, then is cast combination is ready. Yes, it is true. And else, if it is not, is cast combination ready is false. So basically, we have a flag over here. We flag whether the cast combination is okay, and we flag whether it's not okay. So in this right over here, what I will do is I will check if if my trigger button is down and is cast combination is ready, right? Is cast combination is ready. There you go. So if I go back to Unity, I'm gonna put my headset on because I need to use. So give me a moment. All right, there you go. So let me hit play. Okay, it's entering the play mode. All right, now I have two of my controllers, my left hand and my right hand. So I have my left hand, I have my right hand. Okay, so if I tap my trigger, no bullets gonna spawn. But if I grip and if I hit my trigger, so now that now my spell is now casted. Now I can shoot. There you go. Now I can shoot. See? Alrighty. I can shoot, and the enemy is kind of like goes away. Cool. All right. So that's pretty much the basis of this. So I will go into a little bit more into how I applied this the navigation of the enemy, so that the enemies would spawn somewhere around and they would like come at me. So let me get rid of these enemies right now, and I'm going to create a terrain. Right click 3D object, terrain, which gives me a beautiful terrain like this, right? And I'm going to get my XR rig to the middle of this terrain over here, and I choose a couple of enemies. Not a couple. I choose my enemy right over here, right? Oh, cool. So I'm here. The enemy is over here, right? So here I'm using something called navigation, right? So you can get this navigation by going to Window, AI, Navigation, which will give you something like this. And you can. So what we are going to do is we are going to define that this terrain is a walkable area for an artificial intelligence bot, right? So we are going to use some artificial intelligence in this as well. So I select this and I select this as walkable, right? Walkable. So if you have like obstacles and stuff like that, you can select these 3D objects and select not walkable. Or if you want this, if you want the agent to jump up, you can select as, it's a jumpable object. So in this case, I'm just going to choose this terrain. I'm going to make it walkable. I'm going to go to bake and hit bake. Right, might take a little bit of time to bake the navigational mesh. Let me change the size of this terrain. It's super huge. Let me change this to. Let me stop this for a moment. Let me change the size of this terrain to 100 and 100. It's fairly small, or maybe 50 by 50. Oh, there you go. Select this. Go to navigation. Bake. All right, will be much more faster. Cannot clear operation 29 while canceling. Oh man. Okay, so if you go to areas, for some reason I can't see the nav mesh. I'm not really sure why that is. Oh yeah, I have to enable gizmos. Yeah, my bad. All right, so this blue color, right? This blue color defines the area that this AI agent, this AI game object can navigate, right? So if I hit bake, it's going to be something like this, right? So now what I do is I select my enemy, right? And I'm add a component, right? And that would be nav mesh agent. So agent is basically the agent, right? Navigational agent. Right, so I'm going to choose the basic components of this. And what I will do is I'm going to create a new script. Create a C# script. I'm going to name this as enemy. Enemy. Okay, where did it go? All right, still loading. Let me open up enemy. Oh man. Gonna have to wait a while. All right, there you go. Enemy. So here, what I will do is I will import using Unity Engine .ai. That is because we are using artificial intelligence right here. And I'm going to attach this to the enemy. So what happens is when the enemy gets spawned, right, get component. So I'm getting the navigational agent component of this, get component, nav mesh agent, dot target, dot destination, sorry, not target, destination. That means the end destination of that navigation is equal to camera.main transform. All right, so basically camera.main.transform, it has to be transform.position. Right, so camera.main is basically what, where our head is, which is this. And so let me give a refresh. Okay, it's gonna take a while. All right, so camera.main is basically, if you select the head and go to the inspector. Oh man, what is this, man? Sorry about this. The computer is kind of crappy right now. Okay, let me get rid of this. Okay. Right. So here, so AMD, yeah, I'm running on an Intel processor, and my this is a really good laptop, by the way. I think with all this, live streaming and stuff like that, it's gonna be a little bit cranky. Anyway, so if I click my head, so I have tagged this camera as the main camera. So the camera.main.transform.position is gonna be oh yeah, camera.main.transform.position is always going to be where my head is. So what I will do is I will apply this to my prefab. So to do this, I'm going to go to overrides, apply all. So this will apply to my enemy's prefab object. So let me create like multiple prefabs, multiple enemies in my scene. Control D, I put it right over here. Control D, put it right over here. D over here. Okay. All right. So let's play this just once, and then I'm going to go to my actual scene. I'm going to explain what I have done right there. All right. So let me play this. Now you'll be able to see all of these enemies coming at me. Come at me, bro. Ah, it's taking a while to load. Okay, entering play mode. There we go. Oh, they don't come at me for some reason. Where is that? Okay, I can shoot, which is okay. And they just go away. Oh man, yeah, I know what went wrong. I haven't added my enemy script. Silly me. I need to add my enemy script over here. Enemy script. This, and I'm gonna apply it to all of my prefabs. Apply all. Now let's hit play. All right, they're coming at me. Shoot, 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 shoot. Oh man, I just died. I just died. So these are like, standing right on top of me. Maybe I just, I just got smashed by them. So there we go. So let me go to my actual scene, the actual game, and I'm going to explain how I did that. So I'm going to go to main, which will open up my cool looking scene right over here. Right. Okay. So what I have done is, so I'll talk about the game design, the level design of this. So basically, this is I have this post-process volume. So if I get rid of the post-process volume, you'll see it like this, which is really ugly. If I enable the post-process volume, it's going to be something really cool. So I have used 3 assets which are like free of charge from the asset store. One is this Skybox cube map extended renderer. So this is where I got this cool looking sky. And the other one is the free rocks collection, right? To get all these rocks to my scene. And also the particles, right? Shreb's particle collection. So there are like really cool particles that you can make use of, right? So if you not really sure whether this plays. So you can see there's like fireworks, explosions, and something like this, which is really cool. Right. So what I have done is I used the same rock scene, right? I got all of these rocks, right, which you can see right here, all of these rocks, and put it in a single game object called the environment, right? And also I have added this skybox. You can add the skybox by going to like window, rendering, lighting, and lighting, go to environment, and you can choose the skybox material, right? So here I have used the extended night skybox material. You can choose something else as well. You can completely change this to a day scene like this. I can change this back to this. And when you click this, it's going to be a material right over here. You can select that material. In the inspector window, there are like some, various different parameters that you can change. You can change the exposure, right? This, like this, so you can change it all the way down. So I kept it right at this. And this is really cool. It has like stars that are moving, which is awesome. And it's free. You can download that from the asset store. All right, and then I haven't done anything in terms of this, but this ground, I have tagged that as the ground, and also in my navigation, I have put that as a walkable area. So, and when I hit bake, and these are some of the obstacles, and it's going to bake the whole area that the enemies can navigate around. All right. So let's talk about this enemy right over here. There you go. Awesome. Cool looking guy right over here. So I have added the navmesh agent to this guy as well. And also I have a script called daemon attached to it. Right. So basically I have, I downloaded this 3D model from Mixamo. So you can go to mixamo.com and you're going to see a ton of different, assets. You can choose whatever you want. And also you can see, there are a ton of animations that you can make use. I'm not really sure whether this will load right now, but anyway, you can just select a character and download a character. Okay, not really sure. If you go to animations, you can search various different animations like walking, running, defeated, and stuff like that. So you can download them and you can import them into Unity. So I have import these files into Unity, which is inside my models folder and in daemon. Right. So in daemon, I have like two different animations. I downloaded two different animations. One is the running one. If you if you click this and if you play right here, you can see that a running animation over here. And the other one is the dying animation, which is not really sure with the there you go. This one right here, the dying animation. So what I did was I copied the dying animation right over here, and in the animation window, what I did was so this basically looks looks like a timeline, and if you scrub through it, so basically this is where you see the dying animation of it. I kind of like manipulated that animation so that the dying animation would be like quicker. So don't worry about it. So you can see this, you can get this animation from the project files. Right. So in my daemon prefab, there I have attached animator component, right? So this animator components, there are like two animations. In this animator component right over here, there are two animations, which is running and dying. And there's a transition from running to dying, which gets triggered by a parameter called die. I have added that parameter right over here. Right, so you can search about using animations in Unity to implement that feature. Right, so that's pretty much it. Sorry, that's pretty much it for the environment. And apart from that, I have added a particle system using Unity VFX graph. So above VFX graph, there's a cool tutorial, cool workshop that are done by CircuitStream. It's done by Tyrell to create these different cool effects inside Unity. So I'm not going to explain that because it might take a little bit of time. So what I have done here is basically when you cast the spell, right? When you cast the spell, not shoot, right? Not shoot. Only when you get that spell correctly, this will turn itself on, right? This will turn itself on, saying that, oh, your cast is ready. Now shoot right away, right? And also inside my spellcast, which is the bullet, right? I have attached. So let me get a closer look at this. So inside this bullet, you can see that this bullet, it has nothing but a sphere collider. So inside of it, I have another particle system, which is called ethereal stress trail. So when you move this particle right over here, you can see a cool looking effect, right? So this one I got it from from that asset store package. When you move around, you can see that cool looking. Where did it go? Oh, I have to play it. So if I play this, so there you go. So when it moves, it creates this cool looking effect. So I have attached that to my spellcast. So when the spellcast object moves, that since this trail is inside that spellcast, that trail is going to work as it is. So you can check various different effects by, I think it's inside a folder called Shreps Particle Collection. So there are like inside the particles folder, there's going to be trails. So I think there's just one trail. Oh no, there are two trails. This one, and there's a smoke trail. So I have used that, and I have also like scaled that down a little bit so that it will work as I want, right? So the spell is like that. And I have attached some other particles to this scene as well. Basically, the shooting particles and uh, the particles when you hit the flow, so there's going to be another particle as well. So that's the basic idea. So let me go to let me open up some of the scripts that I have created so I can explain quickly what this scripts does, right? So let's start with the spellcast, which is this. Let me get Visual Studio opened. Okay, might take a while. Oh yeah, Dejan has posted the link to that VFX graph workshop by Tyrell. Check that out. It's amazing. It's explaining every detail about the VFX graph. Okay. All right. So if I select the spell cast or the spell shoot, so the spell shoot is basically the gun component that we created, right? We have the combination which says cast combination, whether it's true or false, and then I have a line renderer, right? So what this line renderer does is when I get my combination ready, it creates some sort of a line from my left controller to right controller that indicates that my spell is correct, right? So, and also it will this fire particle, it will enable this fire particle so that when I move my hand with the correct combination, that it's gonna cause that fire. And also I have the spell prefab, and I have the reference direction is basically the spawn point of the bullet, right? So here I have this combination right over here. So in this case, what I have done is I enabled that line, the line renderer that talked about. And apart from that, I have an audio manager that that creates this audio, a flamethrower kind of an audio, right? So not going to explain about the audio manager in this case. You can look at the audio manager script and see what's happening right there, right? Okay, so if my combination is wrong, the cast combination is going to be false, fire particles is going to be stopped, and also the audio is going to be stopped, the line is going to be disabled, right? In this case, I instantiate the prefab, and then I set the rotation of the prefab. And also, so in this case, what I have done is I have another method inside my bullet, or inside my the spell, which says shoot, right, which shoots around. And also I have a sound which gives this shooting sound, like something like that. All right, so if I go to spellcast, this is basically the bullet object, right? So I have the speed, and then I have two reference game object parameters, which is the monster hit particle and also the ground hit particle. So basically these are two game objects, two prefabs that I downloaded from that particle system, and I have attached this monster hit particle and ground hit particle right over here, right? So I have this invoke method where it times out after 5 seconds, and also right over here is on trigger enter. What this does is it checks whether the bullet, whether the spell hits the monster. If it is, it will tell the monster to die, right? Instead of just destroying it as soon as possible, I have asked demon, hey, die yourself, die, right? And the other one is I say that monster has died to my game manager component. This is basically to keep track of the number of monsters in the scene, because I don't want to bombard with a ton of monsters. And also I have an audio manager with which plays when it hits the enemy. And also by doing this, the bullet will destroy itself, right? So instantiate this monster hit particle is basically that particle when you see when this spell goes and hits the monster. And the other one is if the bullet hits the ground, it's gonna spawn a ground hit particle, the position where the bullet is, and also it's gonna take the default rotation. Right. So if I go to my daemon script, right, in my daemon script, I have this AI component which sets the destination to camera.transform.position. I kind of reduce a vector, right? Without the Y component of it, I reduced a vector because I want the monster to stop in front of me, not just like come on top of me, right? And then I have a method which says die, right? What this does is, when doing that, it will turn off the navigation. Otherwise, what would happen is the dead monster will anyway like walk towards me, which is like, scary. So I have stopped the navigation mesh, and I set the animation trigger to die. So this is where the die animation gets triggered, and I can see that the monster kind of like dies. And also, I have set this to true. These are basically just physical components, which says, monster, you died. You have to stay right there, and you don't collide. You don't have, you shouldn't have any more collisions enabled until you vanish after 2 seconds. Right? Vanish basically destroys the game object. So that's a different kind of a destroying method that I have added in the scene. Anyway, you can download the project and you can have a look at it much more better. Right. Okay. So I'm gonna give a glance through the audio manager. So inside my audio manager, I have like various different sounds, for the flame, to the hit sound, the shoot sound, and also I have a game manager which manages the whole game, right? So what will happen is it will wait for 5 seconds before starting the game, right? Oh yeah, sure thing. All right, I think I kind of like dragged a little bit. Anyway, what this does is, it spawns monsters, within like 3 seconds, and it will check whether the number of monsters in the scene are like, up to a certain value. So that's pretty much it. So I have explained a lot, I guess. It's a huge set of things to figure out. Anyway, you can see you can download the project. You can download the project and have a look around. So I'm going to give the stage back to Kyle to end this session and go to the Q&As.
Awesome. Thank you, Indika. Thanks so much. And I'm sorry to be a party pooper here as far as the recording goes. Our software can only capture up to 2 hours at a time, and we're currently 1 hour and 53 minutes in. And I wasn't sure how much was left. Anyways, I'm going to reshare my screen here super quickly, just again in the interest of time. As a reminder for all the folks in the audience, we covered a ton of stuff here today. All of that was recorded. So everybody's going to be sent the recording. Everybody is going to be sent the assets that Indika was demonstrating today, the scripts, whatever you need to be able to replicate what we did today at home. And I do hope that the explanations were sufficient to answer any questions that you might have. We definitely had a lower amount of questions than we normally do. So Indika, pat on your back. That's usually a good sign. It means you explain things well. If everybody who remains at this point in the workshop could please navigate over to the polls section. This one's super important for us. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this workshop to a friend? This one really helps us because it tells us whether we should continue doing workshops of this nature in the future and how we can improve and that type of thing. So please do take a quick moment to navigate on over there, as it really helps us out a lot. So thank you in advance. I am going to skip a good chunk of the remaining presentation I do have, but there are a couple of key things that I want to reference. And then the first one here is on screen. So if after attending sessions like this or others that we've done in the past, you are interested in learning more about the programs that we do have to offer, we do occasionally host open house events where we'll have a member of our educational team or perhaps an alumni or perhaps both so that you can learn more about these courses. So this Thursday, 12 p.m. Pacific time, that's about 2 hours from right now on Thursday, we are going to be hosting an info session. So my colleague, Steph, my counterpart here on the educational team, he's going to be hosting the event. And we're also going to be joined by one of our most recent graduates of our 10-week XR development course. This is going to be a fun opportunity to ask any questions that you might have about any of our courses, learn more about what we have to offer, and hear about the very exciting spring sale that we're going to be announcing at the event as well. What are we going to be talking about? Well, first of all, the XR Development with Unity course there. You can see on screen the price of our VR Starter Pack bundle. I will reference that in a minute as well. Our next cohorts, we have one beginning at the end of this month. And for the first time in CircuitStream's history, we're hosting a cohort that's happening at times friendly for folks in the Middle Eastern and Asian regions. So it's going to be happening super, super early in the morning for us here in North America. But Indica is going to be taking lead on that course. So if you are in those regions, if you are interested, definitely consider the May 25th cohort of our XR Development with Unity course. Same thing, we've got our brand new design course that I talked about. Again, in the interest of time, I'm going to reduce what I would normally say about this course at the moment, but just know that the VR Starter Pack bundle, which I'll reference in just a sec here, you are able to pick the 10-week course of your choice as part of that bundle. So you're going to get the C# class, the headset, and then your choice of the 10-week course, either the design route or the development route. Also, for CircuitStream alumni and for current students as well, for the first cohort, which is set to begin on June the 14th, we are offering alumni 50% off. Yes, Devante, I saw you here. I wasn't sure if you had seen the note. We will give you 50% off for the first cohort only if you choose to join. Our Project Accelerator class, this is the one we've had going for a little while now. It's the continuation, the next logical step after our development course, if you want to continue on that path. Portfolio-based program, next cohort is set to begin on the 24th of May. Now, these are our usual starter pack. These are bundles surrounded around our either of our 10-week courses or our Accelerator course. And in addition to that course that you choose to center your bundle around, you also get access to our 3-week C# scripting fundamentals course, and we will send you an Oculus Quest 2 VR headset, provided that Oculus can ship to your country. So the course, the cohort, the time slot, everything, all of the details involved with that bundle, the choice is yours to mix and match as you please. The one thing that I do want to say is with the open house coming on Thursday, there will be an announcement about our first ever annual spring sale. These bundles are going to be heavily discounted. So, kind of disregard the prices you see on screen right now. Huge discounts on a first come, first served basis. As always, regardless of the price, regardless of the bundle, regardless of the course, payment plans are available. And we do have a dedicated team to help you with the before, the during, and the after of your registration. So if you have questions, if you've already reached out to us, if you're interested in anything we have to offer, feel free to hit us up on email or give us a call, or head over to our website where you can go to the learning page to download a syllabus, submit an application, find our workshops page, all of that fun stuff. Okay. Super breeze. I try my best to quick run that as much as possible. Indica, I think there was only 1 or 2 questions here at this point. So if you want to come back on, I know we've got about 90 seconds here. Folks, if you do have questions, now's the time. Definitely drop them into... it looks like you handled them. I was going to say Luca had a great question about OpenXR.
Yep. Actually answered all the 3 questions. I guess we're good to go.
Awesome. Okay. Well, is there anything else for the folks that remain in the chat? Devante, I see you typing away here. How can I help? What's up? Can you email me about the interaction course? Yes, of course I can. I absolutely will. I will send you the syllabus, and just keep your eyes peeled for the sale as of Thursday. Okay. Anything else from anyone in the audience here? Any other remaining questions? I see Damien typing as well. Damien, great to see you. Hope you're enjoying class so far. Luca typing. Any questions from anybody here at all? Damien, all good. Glad to hear things are going well so far. Anything I might have missed? Oh, sorry. Did I not submit? Oh, I did submit the poll. I'm not sure why it's going through. Sorry, Dayon is pinging me on the back end, asking me about the poll here. It has been posted, unless I'm mistaken, Dayon. Anyways, okay, well, we're going to wrap up there. We are definitely at the 2-hour mark as of right now. So if you are watching on the recording, I'm not sure if you're going to see this. But anyways, thanks so much for attending, everyone. Indica, thanks again to you. I know it's almost time for bed for you over there in Sri Lanka. So I really do appreciate you taking the time to explain things through. And no matter where you are in the world, to everybody still in attendance, thank you so much for attending. Be well, stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you there on Thursday. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye, guys.